Welcome into New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trey Girouard, and in today's show, we have some crazy Derek Carr rumors and news to get into. Derek Carr is visiting with the New Orleans Saints today. This coming in from Rapoport last night about 5:30 yesterday. He says sources say the Saints invited Derek Carr for a visit, and the Raiders have granted permission for that to happen. The plan is for a visit tomorrow, which is today. Carr, who has a no-trade clause, is doing due diligence and has no trade imminent. Jeremy Fowler also adding this. Themes emerged with talks from Derek Carr. This coming in last night as well. Inquiring teams want to rework the deal, which they believe Carr won't do. Raiders asking price is modest. One NFL source says a third-round pick could get it done. New Orleans believed to be the only team to engage to extent as of today, or as of right now. This was last night as of 7:30. And the Carr trade is heating up. It's getting wild. It's getting crazy. And I think that it could actually happen. Derek Carr, he wants an offense with familiarity and continuity. And if you remember, Dennis Allen is the one who drafted Derek Carr and actually gave him his first NFL start in 2014. I think a trade could happen very soon. I don't expect one to happen today after they meet. I think it's one of those things that a trade could go down as early as Monday. But I think it's also one of those things you have to expect a trade to go down if you really want Derek Carr. If the Saints are being aggressive and they want him to be the quarterback of the future, you can't really mess around and wait till he gets to free agency, because other teams with more cap space and more money could take advantage of that and outbid you. But maybe you have an edge with the Dennis Allen, Derek Carr familiarity and the relationship. They said they've always been close. They said they've maintained a relationship even after his stint in the Raiders was done. And here's a little trade idea that I cooked up. I think that you could get a third-round pick to the Raiders, and you get Derek Carr, and then you send him a sixth-round pick. I think that that's fair. So that way they get a little something back. Give them something on the back end, doesn't really matter. But you get Derek Carr in return. You only have to give up a third-round pick. That's really not that bad, guys. It's really a pretty fair asking price. And I think especially if he's your long-term quarterback, then I think that that's worth the risk. I don't know. It's not really up to me. I'm not the one who's making the decisions. I'm not the one who's calling the shots. But I want you guys to let me know. Is Derek Carr a Saint? It's certainly starting to feel like he might be one. It's certainly starting to feel like he's going to be rocking the black and gold this next season. But I want you guys to let me know, is he a Saint? Type Y for yes, type N for no. And if a trade goes down, we got you covered. So please subscribe to stay informed. That way you never miss a thing. We are also going to be going live later today, so be sure to turn on your notifications. So we are going to be discussing more Derek Carr news and rumors as it comes in. As I said earlier, he's landing about 2:30. We're going to be going live around that time or a little bit after that, so that way we can break down any updates, any buzz, or any rumors that are around the Derek Carr situation. So be sure to subscribe and tune into our live show. Turn on notifications so that way you don't miss a thing. And also, if you want to hit me up, if you want to stay in the loop, if you want to get some social media updates, I always post on my Twitter before I get to YouTube, because we obviously have to get the content together. But if you guys want to give me a follow, hit me up at TraceGirouard48 on both Twitter and Instagram. I'll have that link in the comment section and in the description of the video. Hit me up, chop it up, send me a DM, send me Derek Carr, so that way I know you came from today's video. I'll give you a follow back. Shout out to the few of y'all who gave me a follow after yesterday's video. So I want to just get my thoughts and kind of just free flow a little bit here and just have some fun with this. Is Derek Carr the guy for New Orleans? He is visiting with the Saints, as we know today, and it's going to be pretty crazy. I think it's one of those things that he could potentially have the ability to lead the team in the future. I think that you have a lot of young pieces with Rashid Shaheed, with Chris Olave, with Juwan Johnson that you could really build around. And if you think about it, Derek Carr is probably the more rational, more reasonable option over Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, he's a guy that you could also pay attention to. And I've seen a lot of people saying you can't really afford Lamar. You might not be able to pay Derek Carr, but you can restructure some contracts. You can cut some guys. You can move things around. The cap can be manipulated. And if you make space for Derek Carr, you can also make space for Lamar Jackson. So that opens up the opportunity to possibly go trade for him. But I think that that Derek Carr is your safer bet. I think he's your safer option because he has the familiarity with Dennis Allen. He has a familiarity with what the culture and the things that he's trying to build. And I think that it could actually make some sense for New Orleans to bring in Derek Carr. And also, if you bring in Derek Carr, would that be an inclination for Michael Thomas to potentially stay? Because I know that the Saints restructured his contract, and I know that they reworked it so that they could more than likely cut him and it would have a minimal cap hit. But I think you can always go and restructure the contract. You can always have a little, go back and re-meet with Michael Thomas and his agent and try and figure something out and make something work, because Michael Thomas could finally be like, I have a quarterback, I have a guy, and I can finally be successful. He even took to Twitter yesterday, deleted a tweet, and he said he was talking to Nick Underhill on Twitter, a big Saints media guy, one of the biggest insiders that I get a lot of my information from. He was saying, I got receipts, Nick, stay tuned. I don't know what this is all about, because Nick Underhill was talking about how the cap space could be manipulated, and nothing is about one move to this team, yada, yada, yada. I don't really want to get into all of that, but it could mean that Michael Thomas might be able to stay. But Jeremy Fowler did speak on this a little bit ago. He also said, I get the sense that some teams want to rework his deal to facilitate a trade, possibly spreading out that guarantee over multiple years. The Raiders are trying to control trade and haven't given Carr, who has a no-trade clause, permission to shop his services. Obviously now he has permission because he's meeting with the Saints. Watch for New Orleans here. A Carr-Saints connection was buzzing a bit in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, and they could be a suitor. New Orleans has a first and second round pick from the Sean Payton deal, and head coach Dennis Allen coached Derek Carr under his rookie year in Oakland. So, again, I think that you could go and get Derek Carr for something pretty affordable, and I think that you could go get him, and he could potentially be the guy. And it's going to be one of those situations where, of course, maybe it works out, but maybe it doesn't. There is obviously a high risk, but there's obviously high reward in any of these kind of trades. If you want to go and gamble and get Derek Carr, I think it's worth it. But I also will say I think it might be worth drafting a guy like Hendon Hooker in the second round, because if you only have to give up your third, you can still go get Hendon Hooker. And guess what? You can still get somebody in the first round on the defensive line to help boost that. So I'm just saying, it feels like you could really make this work. If you really start thinking about it, it makes some sense. And I'm kind of getting more and more okay with the idea of it. And I know that I said that Derek Carr might be mid, but Derek Carr isn't that bad when you talk about him being clutch. He's one of the top 5 guys in terms of fourth quarter comebacks and overtime comebacks. He knows how to win games. I think that a lot of his failures and a lot of his trials and tribulations last season came from the scheme that he was in. And I don't think that would be as much of an issue if he were in New Orleans. Plus, he would have better weapons and better tools. When you have Mac Hollins as your wide receiver, obviously Devontae Adams is better than anything the Saints have, but Mac Hollins, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, who played maybe 5, I don't know how many games he played, but he didn't play very many. He was hurt most of the season or complaining about his contract. So you could have so much more continuity, such a better culture, and Derek Carr is a big culture guy. When he was in Las Vegas and in Oakland, he bought into the Raider Nation, and I think he could do just that with the Who Dat Nation, who is just as passionate of a fan base and gets crazy and gets rowdy and buys into the team if they buy into the city. And Derek Carr is a guy who I think could buy into the city. Guys, like I said, we're going to be going live later today, so please subscribe, tune in. Go ahead and type me if you plan on tuning in to today's into today's live show, and also so that way I know you made it to the end of today's video. Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden. I'll catch you guys later this afternoon. Peace out.